Hello and welcome to Whiteboard Politics. Today we're going to be talking about uh, reform on the Senate elections. I was asked through a third party if I would speak at a hustings on behalf of reform. Well, anybody who knows me, that isn't going to happen. I'm actually the regional organiser for Wales for the Workers' Party. We're not having anybody running in the Senate elections. I think I got to take some of the blame for that. We were looking to put someone in to run in a couple of constituencies. Along came your party, and our leader, George Galloway, is a big friend of Jeremy Corbyn, and they were looking to align. So we waited and waited to see what they were going to do. And unfortunately, it did turn into a bit of a shit show. And by the time we realised that they weren't going to be around, anybody who knows anything about politics, you need a lot of money and a lot of support. We haven't got the money to run, whether we had the support or not. You have to do a lot of work to get the support. So let's get back to reform. Are reform good for us? Who are reform supporters and why are they about? Well, first of all, I don't agree with the labelling of reform as a racist party. I believe there is a high element of racism in that party, and I'll explain it like this. I see reform as three levels: top, middle, and the bottom. At the top, Nigel Farage, Tice, and all the leaders, I don't see them as extreme racism. They're opportunists. In the middle, then you've got the band, middle hardcore, and they are the racists. Uh, they would really beat somebody up for being black and go around the those are the ones that go around the hotel and bash people. But they would actually, some of them would actually bash you up for supporting the wrong football team. So that's the mentality we're dealing with there. And below that, then we have people looking for something for answers, something different, And these are people I know, my friends, that have gone to reform because they don't see any other option. People are afraid of this immigration. They're afraid of what they read on the news, that Islam is going to take over and all this kind of thing. And I can see and I sympathize why they're going to reform, but they are being tricked. And unfortunately, it's harder to persuade somebody they've been tricked than to trick them. So when you hear Nigel Farage and Tice, if you listen to what they say, most of their policies are based on putting down the working class. You might hear them say, riling people up about with racism and people, but they actually attack the working class. There was one speech I heard where they said that young people are getting paid too much. And what that means is that they want to pay young men and young girls to work hard. They want to pay them less because they can be more competitive. That's not making their business more competitive. That's making sure that there's enough money at the end so they can have more, because they know if they're paying fair wages, there's only a certain limit. And for them to get more money, they have to pay working people, the people who actually do the work, less. And is that really what you want? Your young children going out for the first instances to go into work to be exploited, which is what they said. They openly said that. You mean they're going to exploit young workers? They want them to have lowest wages as possible, withdraw minimum wage. And is that really what you want for your children? That kind of party in Wales? And then they want to, I think it was Nigel Farage that he wants to repeal all this working workers' rights and all that. So they're really attacking the working class or the working families of Wales. That's where they see their profit in, is exploiting you. You know what I mean? So it's not really what you want, just because they're saying what's good in the papers at the moment, that, frightening you with the boats coming in, and that's why you're voting for them. They're only using that. The ones at the top, like I said, the people that they mix with, they're the ones that are allowing these people to come in. All immigration could be stopped if they really wanted to, but it doesn't pay the people at the top, the corporations who need this kind of employment. I mean, don't think for 1 minute that this couldn't be stopped if the will was there. There's this circle I haven't been, that's 25%. That's what corporations pay in tax. Now, if we said, right, because of the migration, we're going to have to put that up to 50%, migration would stop tomorrow. I mean, all I can say about reform, if you're thinking of voting reform because you think they're going to help with migration, they won't. I mean, yeah, you might get a bit like bravado, like the ICE agents. The ICE agents, everybody thinks they're running around arresting all these bad guys. They're not. They're just picking on migrant workers who have actually been welcomed into their communities, done their work, get their money, but they're getting thrown out. I mean, because it makes good news. They're fooling you into thinking that they're throwing away all these bad people that are in the country, and yet the farmers and all the industry over there that relied on them are saying, well, we can't get the workers now. I mean, so be very careful about voting reform. There is other right wing. If you're generally just right wing and you've got conservative views, there is other people to vote for. That doesn't mean to say if you're that way inclined, but to vote reform. But I can't see anything in them at all. Do you know what I mean? There is nothing in them bar exploitation, and they've got you fooled, unfortunately. Yes, we've got a problem with immigration. I've spoken on it, and I'm left wing. I've spoken and said there's a problem with immigration, migration, the boats. There's a definite problem. And if there was a march tomorrow, I'd be on an anti-racist march tomorrow in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? So don't think that just because you speak up against these things that people are racist. So stop going to reform. Have a look at another right-wing party if you're that way. Then they won't fix your problems. They're just going to attack the working class. In my opinion, if you think something different, let me know and I'll speak to you soon.